Good morning. Fab room full of people. Lovely to see you all. So every year, hundreds of coaches, consultants and trainers decide to become public speakers. They decide to turn their hand to speaking on stage and earning some money from their knowledge and their expertise. Sadly, every year, a vast number of those people don't actually succeed. They don't manage to earn the fees that they want. They just don't get the gigs that they want. One of the reasons that I think this happens is because far too many speakers or wannabe speakers don't actually plan their marketing. They're very good at what they do, but they leap into their marketing and they think about the tactics rather than the strategy. So what I'm going to talk to you about this morning is the importance of planning your marketing. For those of you who I haven't yet had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Chantal Cornelius from Apple Tree Marketing, a company, as Michelle says, has been running for nearly 17 years. And we specialise in working with coaches, consultants and trainers, helping them to show off their expertise. And with the aid of the Great Fire of London, I'm going to show you this morning why planning your marketing is so vital to your speaking business. When Lee Jackson approached me earlier this year and asked me to speak at this fabulous event, I did a little bit of research. This was back in February when I started looking around, and I discovered that just across the road from here is the Museum of London. And they were already promoting an exhibition about the Great Fire of London. So this was back in February, and they'd already started promoting an event that didn't actually open until later on that month, and it's still running now. Now, the Great Fire actually started back in 1666, so they've had a bit of time to plan the exhibition and to plan their marketing. But seriously, they've done a really good job because they've applied the 3 rules that I'm going to share with you this morning. And they have done a really great job in promoting the exhibition. So that's why I just want to share some of these with you this morning. The first of these elements is what makes you different. Now, for those of you who were in the room earlier, Rob was talking about expertise and about sort of standing out from the crowd. When you're a speaker, it's a very, very competitive business. I can pretty much guarantee that there will be people in the room, possibly sitting on your table, who speak about the same topic that you speak about. So you need a way of standing out, of being different to them. The words on the screen behind me, I created this little graphic from a document that a potential client sent to me, where he was telling me what makes him different. And these were some of the words that he used. Expert, reliable, professional. If you've written down any of those words, please cross them out, because I would expect you to be an expert if you're going to be a speaker. I would expect you to be professional and reliable. And I had to say to the guy who sent me this document, I'm sorry, but this is not going to work. We've got to look for a better way to make you different. I think there are 3 elements to your unique selling proposition, your USP. And the first one is your topic. What do you actually speak about? And you need to get really specific. So if I said, well, I speak about marketing, it's a huge area. And nobody is going to book me if I say I speak about marketing. So you've got to get specific. Now, whether you speak about graphic design or finance or charisma, again, get really specific about what you speak about, who you speak to, and almost what the benefits are to your audience. Get specific. So that's the first part of your USP. The second part is your story. What have you done that gets you to where you are today? Have you built up and sold hundreds of businesses, and are you still doing it? Have you survived some hideous accident or some horrible disease that you fought through to come out the other side? You've got to live and breathe what you're talking about. Many years ago, I was approached by a coach who said, could I promote him as a coach and a speaker? And I sat and chatted with him for a while, and after a bit he said, well, of course, this coaching lark, it's a bit of a waste of time, isn't it? He said, I did a coaching course, it was 1 day. I don't really believe in coaching, but I know that I can make a load of money from doing it. I walked away. There was no way I was going to work with that guy because he didn't believe in what he was talking about. He was purely in it for the money. So I had to walk away. He was quite surprised, actually. It was quite liberating. So think about your story. What is it that you've done that has got you to where you are today, and are you still doing it? The third element of your USP is your personality. Who are you? Because when you're a speaker, guess what people are buying? You. They are buying you. So your personality, you need to think about your personality and how that makes you different. Do you stand on stage in a red dress with a pair of boots on? It's a bit of a trademark, dress and boots. Are you a bit of a tigger? Are you a very positive, bubbly person? Do you use humour? Are you terribly serious? I can see bouncing. This is good. Bouncing going on. Tiggers in the room. There are no rights and wrongs. You can be who the heck you want to be, but you've got to stand out. You've got to decide on almost your personal brand, on how you're going to come across, and you've got to let your personality shine through. I am a tigger. I'm a morning person. Celia and I were talking earlier about the fact that whether she should, can I say this? She's not really a morning person. She's a night owl. I'm not. If I was booked to speak at 4 o'clock this afternoon, I'd have gone, no way. No, because by lunchtime I'll be flagging. Start feeding me coffee and I'll be fine. So get really clear on who you are and how you want to come across. So that's the first part. That's the USP and the Great Fire Exhibition over the road. Now, as far as I can tell, they are the only museum in the country currently running an exhibition on the Great Fire of London. So they've got their unique selling point. And they've done some really clever graphics as well to make it all look fab. So that's how they've done it. They've come up with something different. The second element of your marketing planning is thinking about the strategies that you use. Now, too many people I meet will try to broadcast one message to absolutely everybody. And that's never going to work. You actually need to get more specific, thinking about who your audience is and tailoring the message to them. And very briefly, there are 4 ways that we do this. So think about, are you selling your existing services to people who already know you? So that's about going back to a client who might have booked you previously, a conference organizer who's booked you, going back and saying, can I come again? I have clients who, when they're speaking at conferences, will, by the end of the day, they've gone to the conference organizer, they've got themselves booked in for the next year. These people already know and love you. Talk to them, and that's one market. The second one is about promoting your new products and services to the people that already know you. So you might have written a book or an e-book, as we talked about earlier with Nathan. You might have come up with a new workshop. You might have a new keynote that you want to share. Start by promoting that to the people who already know you. Go back to the people who've already booked you and offer that to them. Companies who you've worked with. If you've gone in and given a talk to their top executives, chances are you can go in and sell a series of workshops or coaching, whatever else it is that you do. The third strategy then is about promoting your existing, let's say your existing keynote, to people who don't know you. That one's a bit harder, but that's about networking. It's about generating referrals and recommendations. It's about asking your existing customers to recommend you to other people, building up case studies. The fourth one is the really tricky one, and that's about promoting a brand new product or service to an audience who's never heard of you. It's actually something that the Great Fire Exhibition over at the museum have done quite well, because they've employed 2 strategies. They've gone to their existing customers and said, we've got a new exhibition, would you like to come back and see it? They have a newsletter that you can sign up to, they do a lot on social media, they have a great website. But they've also done very well using all of those tactics going out to a new market. So people who've never been to the museum, who've never even heard of the exhibition of the Great Fire of London, but it's interesting enough that it's grabbed their attention. So think carefully about the 4 strategies that you're going to use and think about tailoring your message for each of those. Don't try to broadcast one message to an entire massive audience. So we've talked about your USP. We've talked about some strategies that you can use. The third element of planning your marketing is this. Now, I have a marketing mantra that says ad hoc marketing does not work. For those of you who came to the sales and marketing boot camp, I hope it was drummed into your heads by the end of the morning. Ad hoc marketing does not work. Now, what do I mean by ad hoc marketing? I mean sending out one press release and then going back to the office and sitting down and waiting for the phone to ring. I mean going to one networking meeting or one PSA event, meeting lots of people, gathering lots of business cards, going back to the office and sitting down and waiting for the phone to ring. It ain't going to happen. You have to keep doing marketing consistently. You have to keep working at it for a number of reasons. Drip feeding marketing messages works much better than one-hit wonders. Nathan actually did a fabulous job on promoting the boot camp for us, and that was based around a series of emails that went out. If we'd have just sent out one email, we might have got a few bookings, but we got a much higher level number of bookings by continually sending out emails and tweaking them and changing them and changing them enough to grab people's attention. If you stick to ad hoc marketing, something horrible happens, which I call the feast and famine roller coaster. So what happens is you don't have any bookings, so you rush out and you do some marketing. You go to lots of networking events, you send out lots of information, you contact all the agents that you know, and yay, it works because you start getting bookings and you get busy and you go out and do all those speaking gigs and the money's coming in and it's wonderful. And then you open your diary one morning and you've got no bookings for the next 3 months. Well, that's not very nice. So what do? You rush out and you start doing some marketing again. And you start going to networking events, you start talking to the agents, and you get more bookings. And it goes like this. It goes up and down. So your finance, your income goes up and down on this roller coaster. The amount of work you've got goes up and down. So one month you'll be frantically busy, and the next month there's nothing. And it's actually really stressful because your energy levels will go up and down and your stress levels will kind of actually go up and up. And it's no fun. It's not a fun way to run a business at all. So what you need to think about is a way of doing consistent marketing. Now, when I'm working with clients, we usually end up with a spreadsheet or a giant flip chart quite often. And down the left-hand side, we list all the marketing activities that they're going to do, or that we're going to do for them, that are relevant for their business. And across the top, we list the dates by week. And then we start plugging in the gaps and we fill in what's going to happen and when. So for instance, if we decide that we're going to send out a newsletter, so we send out a newsletter every month and it goes out without fail on the third Wednesday of the month, which means that normally at the beginning of the year, in fact, I did this in November last year, I was on the train going back home out of London, and I sat down and I wrote out the topics for the entire 12 months of this year for my newsletter. I had a mini brainstorming session with myself and I came up with 12 topics. So that needs to be plugged into your schedule so that my system tells me on the first Monday of the month, it's time to write the next issue of my newsletter and here's the topic. And that gives me 2 weeks to write it. I love the writing, I'm rubbish at proofreading. So I write it, somebody else proofreads it, loads it into the system, and it goes out. Quite often it goes out and I've completely forgotten that I've already scheduled it to go out. And it's great because it's ticking over in the background. So no matter how busy you are, no matter how many bookings you've got coming in, how much fabulous international travel you're doing, or even when you're off on holiday, your marketing needs to keep ticking over in the background. Now, planning and scheduling your marketing is also about working out what you've got time to do. So I love writing my newsletter. I love writing blogs 2 or 3 times a month. I love writing tweets and LinkedIn articles and updates. If that's not your thing and you don't have time to do it, firstly, find somebody else to help you. But secondly, think about how much you can actually fit in. So if you can't do a newsletter every month, that's fine. Do one every 2 months, but do it consistently. I had a Twitter discussion with somebody a little while ago because I put out a tweet saying, if you can't find the time to blog every week, just do it every month, but always do it on the same day, like the third Wednesday. And this lady came back going, no, that's ridiculous. If you haven't got time to blog every week, you shouldn't be blogging at all. I disagree. Do what you've got time to do, but do it consistently. Keep it ticking over. The museum over the road started promoting their exhibition way before the exhibition actually opened. And I've been keeping an eye on their marketing. They've got a great website. They have a newsletter that you can sign up to that's been going out regularly. They've been putting out tweets and Facebook updates on a regular basis. They've kept it ticking over. So they didn't do a whole burst of marketing at the beginning to say, we've got this great new exhibition. They've kept it going all the way through. The exhibition, I think, runs until something like the end of this month. So they've kept it going. So we've talked very quickly about 3 things that you need to work on to plan your marketing. Firstly, come up with a USP. Figure out what it is that really makes you different. Secondly, get clear on the strategies that you're going to use. You don't have to use all 4. You might just want to use one, and that's fine. Thirdly, ad hoc marketing does not work, so plan it and be consistent. This is just a whirlwind tour of actually a 9-stage process that I use, but these 3 are enough to get you going. And once you've done all of that, go across the road and see the museum and go and see the Great Fire exhibition. Thank you.